8 times I moved until I was 18, from one part of the country to the other. When I was a child, my father was like an astronaut to me, except he went away in a tin can on the sea. But as far as I was concerned, it might as well have been to the moon or to an interstellar journey, because I never really had any idea of what that meant. I just knew that he was going. And then we all had to go. We were in Scotland one day, and the next week we were travelling to another part of the country, which could have been like me going to the moon, because as far as I was concerned, I'd never seen it. Well, my completely new medium, I suppose you could say, was I was 5 and I started school. So this was, the input was completely different to being a child and not really understanding much that was going on. But the older I got, the more I understood, and then things became more important to me. People became more important to me. And so when 3 years later I was told, you're moving back to another part of the country, Barrow in Furness, because I'm 8 years old and my whole life revolves round a very small place, a little village, a school, and my parents, and an odd visit to my grandmother. But I never had any idea, Barrow, where was Barrow? It could have been a trip to Venus as far as I was concerned as a child. Up until 18 I had no choice. When I was 18 I felt I should have a choice. And my father said, we're moving to Portsmouth. Well, I had been to Portsmouth because my father was born there. But I didn't want to go and live there. My whole life was in Bath. I was engaged, I went to work, I had lots of friends. And I'd spent probably longer there, because I think we'd lived there from when I was 11 years old. So we'd been there 7 years. And to me, 7 years was like a lifetime compared to the other places I'd lived. So it was a big wrench. I didn't want to go. When I was 20, I got married, so I moved back to Bristol, which I was very happy to do. That was almost like my escape route, if you like, because I didn't want my life to be in Portsmouth. So I felt safe in Bristol because that was where I always came back to. And I spent the best part of 35 years living in Bristol, in different parts, because I moved about a few times within Bristol, but I didn't, that was in a safe, that was still my safety net, Bristol. And then when circumstances decided that I had to change, because if I didn't, I couldn't keep things going as they were. So I moved to Breen in a caravan, another tin can, you could say. I seemed to follow my father about in tin cans. When I was living in Bridgewater, I didn't want to be there, and it was like a black hole because it was sucking me in because I had no choice. Again, I had no choice. Like when I was a child, I couldn't make any choices because there was no choice, and so I was there, and circumstances were bleak. And so it was like a black hole. But I had to eventually move myself out of it and get back into life. Bad things happen. I had to have my own identity. I had to get it back. So in that sense, I did. But it involved me having to move, like take this journey, which was a journey of faith, really, like an astronaut, not knowing really what was going to happen, because it was like having the rug pulled out under your feet. You were going and doing something and leaving people that were very important to you and cared about, and going somewhere where you'd never been before, A bit like I used to do when I was a child, but somebody controlled it for me. I knew once I'd gone, it would be very difficult to come back. I'd cut that tie, cut it.